Hello, my name is Samantha Henderson, and today I'm going to discuss the negative effects of using cell phones in the classroom. I really want to inform my audience about the value of cell phone bans in the classroom and their impact to the students' learning, their learning effects that they cause. I want to be able to provide insight and agreement into the effects of cell phone use in the classroom that can really be critically and drastically changing to a student's academic progress and impacting their academic progress, their mental health, even their social engagement within the school and their classmates. So before we do that, I want to sit back and let's imagine we are in a classroom setting where you are the facilitator and you are full of a classroom of nothing but students, right? And you're facilitating an instruction and you look out and it's something that's very important and you see nothing but the tops of individuals' heads. It looks like everyone has their attention on something else. They're looking down, they're not paying attention, they're not focusing, they are distracted. Their attention is on their cell phones, and they miss majority of what's being delivered. Why is this important? Why is this a problem? So that's what we want to discuss today. I want to discuss why it's a problem. I want to discuss the potential risks, but I also want to wrap up with what can we do to mitigate these risks for our students and their future careers. Implementing cell phone bans in the classroom is a valuable approach that significantly enhances a student's learning by improving their focus and student engagement. It reduces distractions and enables a more helpful educational classroom environment that leads to better academic results. In this discussion, we will focus at the problem at hand, being the use of cell phones in the classroom, the risks associated, as I mentioned, and the potential recommendations, again, to mitigate those risks that we've identified. So let's start by talking about the problem, and that's having classroom or cell phones in the classroom. That's our big concern. Majority of classroom settings today have a zero cell phone ban implemented. 87% of elementary schools prohibit non-academic cell phone use. 77% of middle schools prohibit non-academic cell phone use. Schools with combined grades, they have a 70% prohibit cell phone use implemented. And for our high and secondary schools, 43%. Notice how it goes down as the grade goes up. At least 13 states have passed laws or enacted policies that ban or restrict students from using cell phones in the classroom setting. Although not all schools have those bans, and there are many teachers that support the use of cell phone bans in the classroom, but the laws are just not in place in many locations to implement these policies. A 2024 National Education Association, NEA, took a poll and found that 90% of teachers support prohibiting student cell phone use during instructional hours. 83% of NEA support prohibiting cell phone and personal device use during the entire school day. So now that we've talked about the main purpose, let's discuss some of those risks associated. Some of the significant risks are the distractions, right? Not being able to focus, not being able to continue to perform at the academic performance as they expect. Students have shown that when they use their cell phones during class, they're more likely to be distracted and less likely to engage with the material that is being taught. So remember that visual of the classroom setting where we're facilitating an instruction. Let's say it's an exam that they have next day that is critical to their grade. If they're not focusing, if they are being distracted, they're going to miss a lot of the required necessary detail that's going to help them succeed. According to a study by Journal of Educational Psychology, students who use their cell phones during class were more likely to experience decreased attention and decreased academic performance. Distractions in the classroom can lead to disruption in academic progress, which can lead to the inability to graduate on time or potentially even failing some courses. The most common argument against allowing cell phones in the school is the potential for distraction. That's one of the leading causing arguments of why the need to ban is in place. Also, cell phones have a negative impact on a student's mental health and their well-being. So in today's digital age, students are constantly connected to their cell phones. This can lead to increased stress, anxiety, and even depression. According to a study by American Psychology Association, excessive cell phone use is associated with increased symptoms of depression, anxiety, and stress. There's also potential for cyberbullying, isolation, inappropriate, and privacy concerns, right? So inappropriate content and privacy concerns as well. Cell phones have been used for making threats to individual students, cyberbullying, instigating fights, and other school safety disruptions that are occurring. Use of cell phones can lead to privacy issues or bullying, which can lead to depression in students, and major health concerns, which can also be forms of stress. Students use cell phones during an unfolding emergency can distract their attention from safety and emergency response directions being given by the staff. That is critical. There are ongoing debates about the potential long-term effects of mobile use, including the risk of cancer and other health issues. But mobile phones can raise privacy concerns as well, as students may inadvertently share personal or sensitive information through messages, social media posts, or to their friends just in general, using those digital platforms. They can hamper with the remote control, and in doing so can really disrupt and delay effective public safety personnel response. And they can cause students to impede in the public safety response by accelerating parental and community arrival at the scene of an emergency during those times when officials may be attempting to evacuate students for another issue to another site. Another negative effect of cell phones in the classroom is that they can cause a sense of social isolation. If students are solely focused on their phones and social media and all those social platforms, how are they communicating with each other and other students? They're isolating themselves, potentially isolating themselves, and are solely consumed on what is in that digital world and not what's in reality, what's in front of them. Missing the opportunity of interaction, relationship building, getting to know one another on a personal level, and building those strong foundational friendships that can last through their childhood and their future. When students are glued to their screens, they're less likely to interact with their peers and engage in face-to-face communication. Again, it's all about that digital world, that digital mobile device in front of them that has a stronghold on them and their ability to interact with other people. According to a study by Pew Research Center, students who use their cell phones excessively are more likely to experience social isolation and decrease social skills. They can create a sense of addiction among students. When students are constantly connected to their cell phones, they can develop a sense of dependency on them, which can lead to negative effects on their mental and physical health. According to a study by Journal of Addiction Medicine, excessive cell phone use is associated with increased symptoms of addiction, including withdrawal, tolerance, and the loss of sense of control. Again, tying it back to that academic impact. How can it affect their academic performance? Studies have shown that students who use their cell phones during class are more likely to experience decreased academic performance, thus lowering their GPA. And according to a study by the National Center of Education, statistics, students who use their cell phones during class are more likely to experience decreased academic performance and leading to a decreased GPA. So now that we've talked about the purpose of the importance of cell phone bans in the classrooms, the risks associated, what can we do about it? What can the community as a whole do? How do we mitigate those negative risks? You start by removing the distraction. By removing that, students can focus more on their learning and engage with material that is actually being taught. According to a study by Educational Week Research Center, banning all cell phones from the classroom can lead to increased academic performance and student engagement. There are many different steps that we can take, but we need to recognize that cell phones are a tool, and like any tool, they can be good or they can be bad. It is up to us to teach students how to use them effectively and responsibly, and really create a learning environment that promotes engagement, critical thinking, and physical activity. We also need to recognize that banning cell phones is not a punishment, but a solution to a problem of distractions. So instead of relying on punitive measures, we can really focus on creating a learning environment that is engaging, that is interactive, and that is supportive. We also want to look at what we can do in our communities. For some communities, a full ban is completely achievable. But for example, in a high school of 3,000 students, having the resources to secure every student's phone, but also allow access with varied schedules and needs and still address parent concerns around safety can be nearly impossible. A legislative ban won't account for all the challenges that we can fall into, the administrators might experience, and the educators overall. How can they overcome it? A school's phone policy needs to make sense for the community and it serves, and the students need to support the enforcement of it. Include the community stakeholders, right? The educators, the families, the students themselves. Do a survey. State the risks, state what we can do to mitigate those risks, state potential solutions. If we can all collectively come together and come to an agreement, there's likely chance that we can have a successful ban with appropriate measures that the students feel that they can contribute to. Let's all really just stay collected and work together. Let's make digital citizenship core to student culture and have redundancy in communications. Website, direct communications to students, staff, parent, performance letters. Utilize it in a way that is going to work for the student and not be a leading cause for a distraction, a safety, a health issue. In conclusion, cell phones have negative effects on students in the classrooms. That's what we've uncovered. They can be a distraction. They can negatively impact their mental health, their overall well-being, create isolation, decrease academic performance, create a sense of addiction because they're relying on their cell phone, and really negatively impact critical thinking, right? Problem solving, the ability to interact with one another, engage with their peers, their classmates. Again, it creates a sense of isolation. But this is more about creating a learning environment that really promotes success in this digital age. It's about creating an environment that promotes and supports engagement, again, critical thinking, physical activity, and it really prepares the students for the 21st century. Thank you.